On today's show, we've got a great SensCentral citizen for you. We're heading back to the heart of enemy territory where we find Rob.
Rob tells us what it's like being a Sens fan in a family of Leafs fans, has an elite Ottawa Senators jersey collection that he shows us, and more.
All that and more on today's edition of Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you are listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. You can also follow the show on social media. We're at SensCentral on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. You can find us everywhere you get podcasts, free and available on YouTube. Today is Wednesday, September 4th, and Pilsy, it's official. The Dominic Kubalik era is over in Ottawa.
What a shame. I mean, really, the Dominic Kubalik era is over in North America, which there needs to be a case study studying the fall from grace that Dominic Kubalik had before coming to the Ottawa Senators, being with the Ottawa Senators, and now signing in Switzerland. Like, that is a wild turn of events for someone who was in consideration for the Calder Trophy. Or the Calder Award, whatever you call it, back in 2020. He had that huge season with the Blackhawks, I believe. So 4 years later, and you're back overseas.
Long way from the NHL in Piota, Switzerland, but that's the news of the day as Dominic Kubalik has signed in the National League, is what they call it over in Switzerland. It's a great league. It's it's one of the better ones in Europe, but he just won a world championship, didn't he?
He's a world championship legend. Dominic
I know.
Kubalik.
Yeah, we were holding our hope on the fact that he led the world championships in goal scoring last year before he came to Ottawa, and he had 20 goals in Detroit. I don't know what happened. The wheels fell off, and it was just tough to watch last year. So that era is over, and Steady Stevie Steos has replaced a whole lot of depth in this organization. I'm excited to get to our organizational value rankings next week. We're super excited to dive into that. We've made our list. We've checked it twice. We've actually recorded our brainstorming session on that. It's over on our Patreon, but Billsy, that's going to be fun, but we'll save that for next week. We always have fun with our SensCentral citizens. So without further ado, let's just get right to it. This week's SensCentral citizen here is our guy, Rob. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral citizen. We're going right back to the heart of enemy territory where we find Rob Patava with us. What's going on, fella? How are you doing today?
Boys, good to finally talk to you. It's a long time listening to you, not talking to you, so this is great.
Well, first things first, you avoided the blue team. How'd you become a Sens fan?
You know what? I am the black sheep of the family. My father and his father before him were Leaf fans, and my sister, my whole family, all my cousins. So it's a long story, but born in Mississauga, Ontario, I was an Ice Dogs fan before they sold the team, and Jason Spezza was my guy growing up.
And so as soon as you saw Spezza playing for your OHL team, you're like, I'm following this guy no matter what? Or was there stipulations on your fandom? Like, what if he goes to the Leafs? Then you're like, well, I guess I'm just doing what the rest of my family does. Or did that decision ever get questioned along the way?
Well, near the end of his career, as you guys know, there was a little bit of, I don't want to admit it, but if he would have got his ring, I wouldn't be too upset. Sens fans hate to hear that.
That's if he won it with Dallas, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, no, he was a big part of my youth growing up, and following him along to the Sens was one of the main things. My first Sens game, I think I was maybe 13 years old. My sister was in Ottawa for a hockey tournament, and we went to the Sens game. And I actually threw up that game, not from drinking too much, but from excitement. I had my face painted, and I was cheering the whole game. And that's one of my earliest memories.
That's awesome. Well, don't think we're getting off the Spets Mississauga Ice Dogs topic. Like, you saw him go minus 49 in 52 games. You're like, I need this. I need to follow this guy wherever he goes. I know they had some tough teams back then. Wasn't Don Cherry coaching them?
Yeah. Don Cherry was the coach, and like it was cool to see someone. I know he's from the GTA area, and such a highly touted prospect, and I'm just glad he ended up in Ottawa, and the rest is history.
Brian McGrattan on that team too, Pilsy.
That's solid. I'm just looking up. There's a famous photo of Don Cherry and Spezza. Ross, maybe you can pull it up if you just Google Don Cherry, Jason Spezza, and it's just classic. Him with the Ice Dogs, they're doing the classic Don Cherry thumbs up. So that's what came into my mind. But who else other than, once Jason Spezza was a Sen, what are the other players that you kind of really got interested in, kept you as an Ottawa Senators fan?
Well, I think I had the same kind of arc as you, Pilsy. I was a huge Dominic Hasek fan growing up.
That's the one, Ross.
Yeah, that one. I think I don't have that one, but I have a similar photo signed by Spezza and Cherry. The one where they're stopping on the ice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any Ice Dog fans have seen that one, but no, when Hasek made the trip up north to Ottawa, that was when I was bought all in. My grandparents are from the Czech Republic, so that was kind of a full circle moment for me. That was great.
Well, I mean, Ottawa's had a ton of great Czech players over the years too. Were those some of your favorite first Senators? Like Martin Havlat comes to mind right away as well.
Yeah, Havlat for sure. Back in those days, I guess, there was still a bit of, you like to cheer for the Slovaks too, right? So it was the whole Czechoslovakia thing. So
Radek Bonk, Zdeno Chara, Marian Hossa.
Yeah, exactly. So there's been quite a few that have come through, and I think when Hasek came over, I was really bought in. And then my first Sens playoff game was in 2016, I want to say, when they played Buffalo in the second round. That would have been 2006. I was 16. I was 16 years old.
There you go.
So that was my first experience of playoff hockey, and I'll never forget that game because I don't know if Sens fans will remember, that was the Pominville overtime winner. And I actually have a funny story about that one. So we saw that game. I was 16 years old. I was distraught. I was sitting in the stands with a buddy, and just the season was over on that moment. And a couple years ago, I was in Buffalo. Sure enough, it was Pominville's 1000th game.
Oh, damn.
So I got to relive that moment.
I'm sure they were playing it on the Jumbotron when he was coming out. They were playing
on the Jumbotron more than once that night. And
did they do the thing in warm-ups where everyone's wearing a Pominville jersey? You must have just you must have thrown up from disappointment that time. You're just sick.
Yeah, he's number 2 up there for my all-time least favorite hockey players, behind Chris Kunitz, of course.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I was going to say, give me a quick ring of honor of your top Sens villains. You got 2 more to add to that? Who when their name's said, you're just like, great.
I gotta go Tucker, just being in the GTA. And top of the head, can't put one there. Maybe
I'll give you Jeff Friesen. How about that? That's the first time I cried at a live sporting event. I was 11 years old in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2003, and that goal with 2 minutes left. What made it worse? I just looked up that game again just to jog my memory, and it makes sense because Alfie was on the point, and that's who we went around. But Ottawa was on the power play, and this was 2 minutes into overtime. The vibe in the building. We thought we were going back to Buffalo for Game 6.
Oh, yeah. And I believe Heatley coughed up the puck. And being a young guy in the crowd, I heard some choice words about some fans talking about Heatley that night.
Oh, well, this is spicy. Would you put Danny Heatley in the Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I think you got it. I mean, we don't, as much as he's not been my favorite Sen or because I think that moment kind of tainted his legacy a bit for me. But I think he's got to be up there. Like, I mean, the 50 goal seasons is unmatched, and it's that pizza line was ultimate.
If you want to make it, I guess, so that it's not just a Danny Heatley shrine per se, like just put a big banner with shaped as a slice of pizza up there.
Yeah,
honor all three of them all at once, right?
You can't question that for sure.
Especially when you go to Ottawa Senators on Hockey Reference. Most goals in a season, Danny Heatley, comma, Danny Heatley, because he did the same amount twice. Most points in a season, Danny Heatley. It's kind of tough to turn your cheek to a guy who led the team single season in both goals and points. To me, it's a guy who we all grew up on watching the Spezza Heatley Alfie line and just the dominance that they had. I don't think it's been matched since then. But what do you think the closest has gotten to that? Is there a line that comes to mind? I was just watching some Carl de Hoffman moments before we started recording. Obviously, they're forward defensemen, but what was your favorite connection after the pizza line?
It's hard to put two players in that. I mean, I don't think anyone's come that close to dominance since those guys. Recency biased. I gotta love the Brady Timmy connection over the last couple of years. It's been something sweet to watch and kind of give us hope, I think, recently.
Hope you're enjoying our conversation with Rob. We'll get right back to it. But first, a word from one of our favorite sponsors.
Yes, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. The NFL is right around the corner, and if you want to get tickets to your favorite football team's games, you gotta use Game Time. They've got a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All-in pricing is awesome. Make sure you turn this feature on so that you know your total upfront. No surprise features or fees at checkout. Use the seat view on the app. Ross and I love doing this. Ross, I'm checking out the Game Time app right now. And if you want to go to the Kansas City Chiefs versus Baltimore Ravens first game of the NFL season, check out the app. They got all different tickets there. You can go to that game and boo Patrick Mahomes yourself in person for only $150. So check out the Game Time app, guys. They've got the lowest price guarantee. They've got game tickets coverage. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
What time is it? It's also time to visit farm2forkdelivery.ca. It's a premium meat and seafood company that services Ottawa, Ontario, Quebec, and our friends up in Nunavut. We get some messages from our friends in Nunavut that are like, hey, this is a lifesaver because it's locally farmed premium meats delivered directly to your door. All natural, no hormones, no antibiotics, and gluten-free. You're able to make sure that you're always prepared, whether you're hosting friends or you just want to make sure that dinner is not a chore. Just have your veggies, whatever you're going to put with it, but just know that all you have to do is pull it out of the freezer. Oh, but usually you have to take it out of a big bag. No, at Farm to Fork, all of their meats are individually vacuum sealed. For one, ultimate freshness, but for two, how about just being able to pull what you need on any given day? It is the best. And they also now have their storefront as well. So you can go right up to go get from Derek and all the great people over at farm2forkdelivery.ca. It is at 1570 Carling Avenue, Unit A. So it's right in between that Diamond Storage there and the Corral building on Carling. Go check them out. Go check out the steak specials. They've got seafood, salmon, everything you need. They got it at Farm to Fork. So use our promo code LOSP10, 10% off your first purchase, and go say what up and let them know we sent you if you go check out the store on Carling. Taste the Farm to Fork difference. You will never go back to grocery store meats. All right, back to our conversation with Rob.
We always ask our SensCentral citizens this, so I'll start it off with this. Rob, who is your XFactor player for this season on the Ottawa Senators?
I know everyone said it already, but it's got to be the goaltending.
Yeah,
Ullmark, he's from what we hear and from what the numbers tell us, he's going to be a huge addition to our team. You know, in a close second, I'd probably say Josh Norris, just because we have that hope of his 30-goal season, and we want to replicate that. So I'd say those two guys, obviously starting in net.
Okay, so right now we've started keeping track. Now you're our fourth one, Rob. We've got 2 Linus Ullmarks and 2 Nick Jensens. Those are how we're keeping track right now. We'll do a bar graph.
We had a Sanderson as well, didn't we?
No, the Sanderson was a hot take, I think.
Oh, okay.
That we have that. I mean, last week Feller Pine's hot take was outrageous. I love him for it too. He had Norris and Pinto each getting 30 goals next year. Wouldn't that be special?
That would be nice.
Healthy. It's not that crazy.
That would be nice. It's not crazy.
How good do you think Linus Ullmark needs to be for the Senators to be playing meaningful games down the stretch? Do you think it's all on his shoulders, or do you think that there's other parts of the game that need to improve from last season?
I think he'll be good just being average, to be honest with you. I think
low bar.
Just make the save. You know, don't let any early ones in, and I think we'll be okay.
Now, are you concerned about Linus Ullmark with only 1 year this year left on his deal? Is that something where you're like, oh no, here we go again?
Yes.
Or does this feel different?
Yes. If I don't get that extension before Christmas,
okay,
the panic button's going to start to set in.
You want? Hey, Kelsey's got one for you if you need it. It's always within reach.
I got it. Yeah, I'm a Sens podcaster. If you don't have a panic button in sight within reach, what are you doing here? You're new, obviously.
Yeah. And I got a helmet too in case something comes unexpectedly and plops down on my head. We got to be prepared, Rob. You know.
Yeah. No, hopefully done sooner than later is what I'd say.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Steve Stamos's mentality though, where he's like, "Hey, I don't want to be too like in his face right away. Like, hey, come here, sign." Where it's like, hey, the city's gonna sell itself. The team's gonna sell itself. How they treat their players will sell itself. I think we're past the days of quesadillas under the heat lamp after games. So I think that I'm hopeful at least, and we know Swedes have a long, very prominent history in Sensland. So I'm hopeful that we get Linus Ullmark to that maybe 6-year extension. I feel like would be perfect for a guy who's just turning 30. All right, we already talked about Feller's X Factor and his hot takes last year. Rob, we got your X Factor, but what's one hot take where when a Leaf fan comes up to you at work and he's like, "Oh man, the Sens aren't going to do anything," you're like, "No, wait and see. This guy's going to do that, and that's going to give Ottawa a chance at the playoffs."
You know what? I don't know how spicy this one is, but I'm going to go Ridley Gregg, 20 goals.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
20 goals. Like it's, I think he's ready to take that next step. And if he's playing with some better players, I think he's ready to pop off.
Had 13 last year.
That begs the question: what players is he going to play with? That's going to allow him to do that.
I'm hoping Josh gets back to himself, and then we can get a Perron and a Matteo on the third line. Is what I'm thinking.
And bump Gregg up to the second.
No, third line. Gregg center. Have Norris go to the wing, or with Pinto, or you could flip them. I mean, just think have Norris play. Depending on the night, have him swap with Gregg. But
okay,
I just think that a line of Ridley Gregg with David Perron would just be so fun to watch.
Oh
just terrorize. Throw Nick Cousins on that line.
I was gonna
too.
say, how crazy do you want to get?
There you go.
I want to get crazy, dude. You mentioned Ridley Gregg goals, so it just kind of reminded me. Remember 2 years ago, Ridley Gregg's rookie season? He had 2 goals. One was the 7th goal in a 7-2 win. The other was a second goal in a 7-2 loss. So it wasn't necessarily high leverage goals, but last year took a step. And we just posted a clip last week of Pilsy talking about, look, last year was a developmental year for Ridley Gregg. And we know it's not a developmental league, but he certainly learn the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of a season, and certainly the media attention that comes along with taking the spotlight in the Battle of Ontario. But I like him taking that next step. So that's a great one, Rob. What about the other off-season additions? Amadio, Perron, who do you think is going to make the biggest impact? Jensen as well.
I think Jensen's going to be a silent addition. Like, you're not going to notice him much out there, but he's going to play his part. He's going to, shore up that right side a bit. And, if we can keep it from making mistakes, I'm okay just playing simple hockey back there. But up front, I think Amadio is going to be a quiet, big addition for us for sure.
Yeah, I like the Amadio signing. Maybe a little too much money, but if that's what you had to give him to get him here 3 years, get some consistency, because I feel like he's a utility player, can play up and down the lineup, all 3 positions at forward. So I like that. That's definitely interesting. Now, another move that happened in the offseason, maybe even one of the biggest ones other than Ullmark, is the coaching change. Rob, how you feeling about Travis Green at the helm of this team? Well, wait, let me start asking with what was your initial reaction and where are you at now?
Initially, I was, worried or skeptical, I guess, but just with all the big names out there, you saw Berube on the board, and
we've always said Berube's overrated.
We were never interested in that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope.
Overpaid, overrated.
And you look at his record, and it makes you wonder, but with this whole, early training camp stories, I think that's a little positive because we never have a good start. So I'm excited. I'm going to see, holding players accountable, and we'll kind of take it from there.
I like that. And you need good leadership beyond just Claude Giroux. Everyone talks about Claude's experience. That's great. Brady Tkachuk, a young captain, hasn't had the experiences of playoffs. Do you buy in to the strategy that Steve Staios clearly implemented, where he's taking players who were either veterans, like some of the guys we just mentioned, or kind of both, where you have Ullmark coming from Boston, a perennial contender? Do you buy in that if you bring people from those organizations, then by osmosis, they're going to bring that with them? Do you buy into that as a way to elevate your group?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think especially some of these vets, they've been around. Madio's been on these cup teams. A lot of them deep runs. Perron's been in the league for, how long. So I think just the day-to-day stuff, just, treating every day, practice like you play, having that mindset. I think those things will go a long way with our young guys.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Rob. We'll get back to it. But first, just another word from our friends at Mary J's.
Yes, Mary J's Dispensary is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area. 3 best friends wanted to achieve their dreams, and with hard work and dedication, they got 4 stores in Ottawa now. You can check them out at Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Ross and I have been to the Orleans store. It's awesome there, and they have the best and newest products in the market. They're adding new stuff to the menu every week to keep it fresh. They got whatever you need, whether you're a rookie looking to dip your toe in and try something new, or you're a grizzled vet and you know what you want already and you want to be in and out of there quickly. Don't worry, they got you. They have competitive pricing. In fact, they will price match any store in Ottawa. That means you're guaranteed to get the best price around when you go to Mary J's. And they've got the best customer service. Friendly bud tenders, always ready to help you out. One of the owners, Dashy, absolute beauty, diehard Sens fan. You can usually find him at one of the 4 locations. So go say what up to Dashy, pick his brain about the Sens, and about all the latest, greatest products that Mary J's has to offer. Check it out today, guys. Mary J's Dispensary.
I love that.
And it's especially important for a team like the Sens to acquire those type of players, right? Because, they've been stuck in this rebuild, which was supposed to be years of unparalleled success. That didn't happen.
Unparalleled success actually ends in 2025.
Yeah, I'm down for some paralleled success. I've had it with the unparalleled success. But when you're a team like the Sens that has so much equity built in young players and players that haven't even been to the playoffs, let alone winning a cup or contending for one, I think it's so important to bring these guys in. How do you feel about I got a better way to word this. For you, what would be a successful season for the Sens this year?
Playoffs.
Gotta be playoffs? Do you care how they get in, or just making it to the dance is all you want?
That's it. Wild card number 2 is what I have my kind of eyes on. A realistic goal, we'll say. But we got to get there. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be disappointed if we don't. So
Rob, who are you looking at? Who's the team that's ripe for the picking?
Everyone does this every year, and I don't want to jinx. I don't know.
I've said Boston 2 years in a row.
Wait, Ross, are you asking
Boston.
who does he want them to play in the first round, or who is they going to bounce out of the playoffs?
I'll play on Mars in the first round. Like, just get there, get to the dance. No, I want to know who from last year, because I think right away I look at Washington,
You're looking at the Metro.
then I see New Jersey right out on the outside. Like, I think they're gonna flip in the Metro.
But someone's taking the Islanders spot.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
There could be 5 coming out of our side.
I think so.
If I had to say out of the 4, I'd say Boston probably.
Okay.
I'd say Boston. I think, especially, maybe they don't get that Swayman deal done, and
that's
Corby
fair.
starts the season.
Corpy's gonna play like a prime goalie next year. It's gonna really bother me.
No,
We'll see.
You know what would be the worst? If we see Korpisalo show up to training camp with a helmet that fits properly. And it's like, wait, could he really not see out of that helmet? Like, that would be, imagine the goalie coach, Bob Essens, up. Goalie Bob. Apparently he's like the whisperer and everything. He's like, hey buddy, just change your helmet. Like, we could have told you that.
They get him the Hasek full bubble, so there's nothing impeding his vision whatsoever.
Or one of those dusty beer league ones where it's like visor here and then cage the rest of it. Like, hey, we're going to make sure you can see the puck, buddy.
I always wondered that. Goalie friendly show, right?
Yeah, we tried our absolute best. When you sort goals save above expected and there's a double-digit gap between him and the next guy, like, we got to call a spade here, Robbie.
Yeah.
It was tough, man. But hey, look, the vibes, it seems like, are pretty high. We're on the cautiously optimistic train. I feel like it's been that way for a little while, but I'm just excited for Sens hockey to come back. What gets you the most fired up going into a season, whether it's on the ice or something in your life, and how that affects watching the game?
Just the weather, I think, as a Canadian, it starts to get a little colder, and you're like,
Labor Day's over, baby. It's hockey season.
Here we go. Yeah. So I'm already feeling it a bit. Already feeling the jitters. Getting ready.
Are you going to be at the home opener?
I don't know if I'll make the trip out for the home opener. I've heard good things, as you guys always talk about, but I got a 1 year coming up on a 1-year-old now. So
amazing.
My trips to Ottawa are a little bit sidelined for the moment, but I got to get my 2 games into Toronto, so I'll be there supporting the boys when they're in town, and we'll kind of go from there. Maybe a couple trips to Buffalo. We'll see.
I think there's one pretty early in the season, November 12th, Sens at Toronto. Hey, I think we need you wearing a Ridley Gregg jersey for that. In the heart of enemy territory, first game between the two teams since the infamous slap shot into the empty net. You've got your hot take that he's got 20 tucks. We might even have to do something where if Ridley Gregg scores in that game, you need to get the jersey.
Yeah. You know what? The credit card has been put on hold. I'll show you boys after. I've got quite the collection, but
do you?
Maybe there's room for one more. There's always room for one more, right?
All right. Let's see, man. I want to see what you got, because if people are just listening, and you can start grabbing them here for us. Rob's talking to us from the boardroom of his office in Toronto. This is his enemy territory, and if you just heard. That's ASMR with the zipper
box
right there.
Oh no, that's a zipper. Okay, here we go.
We got the Derek Brassard NHL 100 Classic. People love seeing the jerseys, and I do too. That's awesome. As we said, it's like women wedding dress shopping together. That's classy. The old white 2D, black arms, old school. Yeah, we got reverse retro Brady, and that's sweet too, because that's OG Brady. No A on that one even.
True.
Nothing.
That's OG. We got the red Senegoth. You got one of everything, it feels
first
like.
Sens jersey.
Okay.
Neil Dog.
Oh, man.
Yep. We got the reverse retro from this past season. That's so sharp, man. I warmed up to those a little bit, actually. Yeah. They're not as nice as these, though. These are classy.
The Batherson home jersey, 2D. Yeah. Oh yeah, the SNES jersey.
And it's a little small. It's for my daughter.
Okay.
Nice.
Love it.
With the favorite player on the back.
With Spezza. All right.
You got a bunch of number 19s in there too.
Same thing. I got a little
that one's so classy.
And the golden Senegoth. Nice.
That's so classy. What a collection.
I think the only thing missing from your collection is the white heritage. Oh, other than that, I think you got them all.
It's hanging on the wall at home.
Okay.
It's you know,
That's amazing. Wow.
It's the Spezza class, Spezza's captain, white.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
year he was captain, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome, man. So what's next?
The Ridley Gregg.
I
Wait,
know,
did you
I
have
was
a white new 2D?
The white
jersey?
new 2D would be the next
There
if
it
I had to
is.
go. And
What jersey's Ridley Gregg going to be wearing November 11th in Toronto? The white 2D.
Poetic. It's
Just
beautiful.
saying.
yeah.
You should bring a mini stick and just hold it up the whole game. Just ready.
Well, I'm super superstitious in that way that if I go to a Sens game and they lose, I don't wear that same jersey the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to switch.
So
it.
you got to keep things rolling, right?
We haven't really had that issue, Pilsy and I going to games together.
It's true. My Timmy jersey has
got a good record.
Really well. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got a good record, especially in Canada. We're 14-0-1 in Canada. Pesky 0-1-0 in the States, but whatever.
Yeah.
Rob, what's your record like when you go see games in Toronto? You got a good feel when you're leaving with your head held high?
Yeah. Last season, I was there for that big one early on in the season. I think 6-2 we won.
Ooh, was that the Giroux toe drag?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so filthy.
Yeah, so that was a great game to be a part of. I was there with my brother-in-law for his big 30th birthday, and coincidentally, he's also a Sens fan, even though he married my sister, the Leaf fan. So
wow,
yeah.
That must be nice to have another voice at the table.
100%. I got lucky. Okay,
that's awesome. Pilsy, you got final question? I got one after if you're ready.
Sure. Well, usually the jersey collection is my last one, so I'm glad we did that. So I'll go with my plan B final question. Is there anything we haven't got to? A story we didn't tee you up for? You have questions for us? The floor is yours, Rob.
I'll give you two things quick.
Okay.
I was there for that 2016 Kyle Turris game winner, which was one of my overtime game winner, which was one of my favorite games. Or 2017.
Yeah, okay.
I'm bad with the dates.
That's okay.
In the Rangers series?
In the Rangers series.
Yeah, that was the game they were down late. That was a back and forth game all over.
Yeah. And that he went on to the Condors, I believe, charity thing after.
Right after. Yep.
All time.
Good guy.
Low-key, he should be I want the rest of that story. Low-key, Kyle Turris should be considered for the Ring of Honor one day.
He's there. He's in that discussion. I would agree.
Yeah. So no, that was one of my favorite moments. I was with a buddy from Mississauga, also who's a Rangers fan, and I was celebrating right in his face. And there's nothing sweeter than that. Like, just having a time with the buddies on, opposite sides of things. And it was a back and forth game. So that was one of my favorite moments as a Sens fan. And then as an anti-Leafs fan, I was cheering for Carolina against the Leafs back in the day. In the conference finals, and all my cousins taped me to a chair and put a bunch of Leaf stuff on me. So that was my proud moment as a Sens fan, but having all that Leafs crap on me is not my proudest day.
Oh,
you're like a Sens martyr. You're like, if I die like this, no, I'm a Sens fan at heart, and this is against my will.
Yeah. That was to prove my loyalty, we'll say.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Well, everyone can follow Rob on social media. He's on Twitter, SwingBata77. And Rob, I'm leaving you with the toughest question yet. Who is more important to a successful Senator season, Brady Tkachuk or Tim Stützle?
Brady, got to see. He's they got to follow him in battle every night. I think Timmy needs a big bounce back year, but it all comes down to Brady every night.
Because we've got our organizational value rankings coming back up, and we've had a little bit of a split down the middle of who should be number one.
Between 1 and 2?
Didn't we?
No, I don't know. I think it's unanimous that it's Brady. I think that was an easy.
So it was last year. That was last year.
It was our 2 and 3, Ross, that we had a discussion about. That was.
Do you want to ask Rob how he feels about that?
Well, I think you can probably guess who the second and third most valuable players in the franchise are for those listening at home. No Ross spoiler. And I had a heated debate whether Tim Stützle or Jake Sanderson should be considered the second most valuable player of this organization. Rob, where are you on that one?
Yeah. I think you got to go Jake Sanderson as much as it kills me, as much because we don't like. he's our number one, right? Like it just defense
Who's the
has
number
always
one
been,
center?
but
I think a number one defenseman is more important than a number one
I
center.
think
personally.
defense has been something that has been our downfall, I'd say, the last little while, aside from goaltending, which is not a big deal anymore because we got a Vezina winner. Not a big deal. But I think Jake's, his projection where he's going to be, we're going to look back in 5 years from now and be like, yeah, he's our guy. So,
and that's
I
not
love
to
Timmy,
take
though.
anything away from Timmy.
I
Exactly.
love
Like
Timmy.
I'm a Timmy guy. I got his jersey. I started the Umlaut movement, but I just, where Jake Sanderson is and where I think he's going to go is very exciting.
Yeah, wow. Look, you guys make very good points. It's just, man, 90 points in the National League under 22 years old. I just think that next year, and he's also, can we just put it out there? Tim Stutzel's on a revenge tour this upcoming season. 18 goals, 1 on the power play last year.
Yeah.
This guy's going to come out. He might get more than 1 power play goal in the first game.
Honestly. Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for. So, Rob, hey, great insight. Really appreciate having you on. Great stories and love how passionate you are in the heart of enemy territory. Thank you for not choosing blue, and thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all the love, too, on social media. We see, and we'll be doing this again down the road for sure, right after you buy your Ridley Gregg jersey in November.
Maybe, boys, maybe.
Stick taps to Rob for joining us. Really fun conversation with him. All these citizens just getting me fired up for the regular season. We'll have another Ring of Honor this Friday, the biggest what ifs in Ottawa Senators history. We got 2 Ring of Honors left, so that'll bring us for 5 for season 2. It'll be this Friday and next Friday. We've also got a bonus episode next week because rookie tournament is starting. So we'll have our 3 rookies to watch next week. We got a citizen on Wednesday. A whole lot coming, Pillsy. Fired up for it right here on Locked On Senators, including our organizational value rankings. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me, Ross, is I'm excited to get back to organizational value rankings, and I'm excited to watch people get mad at our lists. We've meticulously gone through our organizational value rankings, trying to make the most sense within our tiers, but also the overall rankings. We don't want guys to look too out of place, so we put a lot of work into this just for you guys to get mad at us and tell us how off we are. So excited for that.
Can't wait. Final note for me, just wanted to mention the classy gesture of Cole Caulfield. He will be wearing number 13 going forward in honor of Johnny Gaudreau. Caulfield, a really long post on Instagram. I would encourage everybody to go read it. It's very heartfelt. The 2 played together at the World Championships this year on the team that was captained by Brady Tkachuk. And they also, obviously, Cole Caulfield looked up to Johnny Hockey growing up as an undersized American forward. Caulfield wore number 13 at the U.S. national team program in honor of Gaudreau, and now it will take on an even more significant meaning. So just thought that was a really classy move from Caulfield to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Ross. I think especially when it's your countrymen and Caulfield and Gaudreau, and like you mentioned, the smaller size forwards, it's a nice move by Caulfield for sure. So not often you hear Cole Caulfield praise on this show, especially by Ross, but well-deserved for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. And just as an aside, because then I looked, I was like, wow, like that's really nice. But then I was like, number 13, like I'm almost surprised it's available in Montreal, right?
Same.
There's so many retired numbers. Well, no, get this, Pillsy. It's like how they don't have a 13th floor at some hotels. I think there's no other explanation because the number 13 in Montreal was worn in 1922 by a player that I will find the name on. I'm sure everybody remembers where they were when Edmund Bouchard wore number 13 in 1922 for 1 season.
Huh.
The next player to wear it was Alex Tanguay in 2009.
Weird.
And since then, it's just been like Mike Camilleri had it for a couple of years. Alexander Semin wore it for 1 year. Most recently, Sens legend Cedric Paquette wore it in 2022. Last year, Mitchell Stevens. So that to me is very interesting. For all the low numbers on Montreal that are either retired, these are their honored and retired numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12.
Oh man.
So there you have it. So just a little hockey history there for you. But again, stick taps to Cole Caulfield and the whole hockey community in this tragic time. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.